Let me tell y'all something. One of the biggest reasons people don't see results from their prayers is simple. They don't believe. Yeah, they might get down on their knees, say the words, and ask God for what they want, but deep down, they don't really think it's going to happen. They've already started doubting, sometimes even before they say amen, and you can't be doing that, man. You can't pray and then immediately doubt. That's not how faith works. You can't plant a seed and then refuse to water it because you don't think it'll grow. It's the same with prayer. When you pray, you've got to believe that God is working on your behalf. You've got to trust that your prayers have power. Now, I get it. I really do. Life throws all kinds of stuff at you, and sometimes it feels like you're never going to get that breakthrough you've been praying for. Maybe you've been asking for something for years, financial freedom, a new job, a relationship, a healing, and nothing's changed. You start thinking, maybe God doesn't hear me. Maybe he's too busy for my little problems. Maybe this is just how my life is supposed to be. Let me stop you right there. That's doubt talking. And let me tell you, doubt is like a silent killer for your blessings. The minute you let doubt creep into your mind, you're putting a roadblock between you and what you're asking for. You've got to kick doubt to the curb. You've got to start believing. Here's what I want you to understand. Prayer without belief is just words. It's like sending a letter without a stamp. It ain't going nowhere. If you don't believe in what you're asking for, how do you expect God to deliver it? When you pray, you've got to approach it with confidence. You've got to say, Lord, I know you've got me. I know you're working things out for me, even if I can't see it right now. And when you say that, you got to believe it, not just in your mind, but deep down in your soul. You got to know that your prayer is already in motion, that God is already putting things into place for you. Now, I'm not saying that means you're going to get exactly what you ask for the minute you finish praying. Sometimes the answer to your prayer takes time to show up. And sometimes the answer doesn't look exactly like what you imagine. But here's the thing. God knows better than we do. He knows what we need, even if we don't always see it. But if you start doubting, you're going to miss out on those blessings because you're too busy focusing on what hasn't happened yet. Faith is trusting the process, even when you don't see the results yet. I remember when I was struggling, there were times in my life when I was flat broke, living in my car, wondering how I was going to make it. But one thing I never let go of was my belief that God had a plan for me. Even when I couldn't see it, even when everything around me was falling apart, I prayed and believed that things were going to turn around. And guess what? They did, not because I'm special, but because I believe. I didn't let doubt take control. I didn't say, well, this is just my life now. No, I said, this is temporary. God's got something better for me. And I held on to that belief like my life depended on it, because in a way it did. So I'm telling you right now, stop doubting. Stop letting that little voice in your head tell you that your situation can't change, that your prayers don't matter, or that God isn't listening. Start believing. Trust that when you pray, you are setting something powerful in motion. Trust that your prayers are being heard and God is working behind the scenes, even if you can't see it. And don't let a delay in the results shake your faith. Delays aren't denials. Sometimes God is just preparing you for something bigger than what you asked for. So when you pray, pray with confidence. Pray like you know that your breakthrough is already on its way, and keep believing. Because when you start believing, truly believing, that's when you open the door for miracles. Let me tell y'all something real important. When you pray for something, you need to understand that the timing of your blessing is not in your hands. It's in God's. I know this is one of the hardest things to accept, especially when you feel like you've been waiting forever for an answer. You've been praying, asking, and believing, but nothing seems to be happening. That's when the frustration creeps in, right? You start asking, why isn't this happening for me? Why am I still stuck in the same situation? But what we often forget is that God's timing is perfect, even when it doesn't line up with our own plans or expectations. See, we live in this world where we want everything right now. We're used to instant gratification. We want fast food, fast results, fast everything. But God doesn't work on our schedule. He doesn't follow our timelines. And you know what? That's a good thing, because sometimes we're not ready for the blessing we're asking for. Sometimes there are things that need to fall into place before we can receive what we're praying for. And other times, God has something even better in store for us than what we thought we wanted. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're praying for a new job because you hate your current one. You're tired of the boss, you're tired of the work, and you're praying every day for God to give you a way out. But nothing happens. You're still at that same job day after day, and you're thinking, God, are you even listening to me? I can't take this anymore. But what you don't realize is that God might be working behind the scenes in ways you can't see. Maybe he's setting up an opportunity for you that's going to be better than any job you could have imagined, but it's not ready yet. The pieces aren't in place. And if he gives it to you too soon, you're not going to be prepared for it. So instead of getting frustrated, you've got to trust that the delay isn't denial. It's preparation. Now here's what I want you to remember. God is never late. It might feel like he's taking too long, but he's always right on time. His timing is perfect, even when it feels like it's too slow for you. And sometimes the waiting period is a test. It's a test of your faith and your patience. Are you going to give up on your prayer because it didn't happen when you wanted it to? Or are you going to keep believing, keep trusting, and keep pushing forward, even when you don't see the results yet? Now, I know waiting is hard. Believe me, I know. There were times in my life when I was praying for a breakthrough and nothing seemed to be happening. I was broke, living in my car, wondering when my big break was going to come. And let me tell you, I was getting frustrated. I thought, God, I've been doing everything I'm supposed to do. I've been praying, I've been working hard. So where's my blessing? But what I didn't realize was that God was preparing me. He was getting me ready for the next chapter in my life. And if he had given me what I wanted right when I asked for it, I wouldn't have been ready to handle it. See, when you're in the waiting season, God is working on you. He's building your character, your strength, your resilience. He's making sure that when that blessing does come, you'll be able to handle it and appreciate it. So instead of getting frustrated during the wait, you need to start thanking God for the delay, because that delay is working in your favor. It's giving you time to grow, time to learn, time to get better. And here's another thing. Sometimes the delay is because what you're asking for isn't what's best for you. Maybe you've been praying for something that you think you need, but God knows better. He sees the bigger picture. He knows what's around the corner that you can't see. So while you're praying for that one thing, God's working on something even bigger, even better, but it's going to take a little time for it to come together. So don't rush God's process. Don't get discouraged because it didn't happen on your timetable. God knows what he's doing. His plans are better than ours, and his timing is perfect. When you trust in his timing, you start to realize that the waiting period isn't a punishment, it's a gift. It's an opportunity for you to grow, to learn, and to get ready for the blessing that's on its way. So when you pray, trust that God heard you, trust that your blessing is coming, and most importantly, trust that it's going to come at the perfect time, not your time, but his, because when it does, it's going to be better than anything you could have ever imagined. Keep the faith, keep praying, and remember, God's timing ain't yours, but it's always right on time.